We're back. The time is now.
Hey, welcome along.
Morning.
Yeah, indeed. Or
As
afternoon.
it is by a minute.
It is indeed.
In the good old UK.
Yeah, welcome along to the preview, I suppose, of the USG game, Union Saint-Gilloise, over there in Belgium. Don't know a great deal about these guys, but as you can see behind me, the mighty Win has been doing a lot of magic. He's been doing a lot of his backgrounds for the stream, and I tell you something, no, he's done a cracking job. But before we get into praising him far too much, let's do the housework.
Let's not do any of that, then.
You deserve the praise, mate. You've done a cracking job. Welcome to everybody watching across all of the platforms. Thanks to everybody that works in the background. Don't forget, guys, out there in viewerland, hit that like button. It done off to us a favour if you can do that. Subscribe, totally free. Hit the bell for future content. Don't forget you can support us by becoming a member. It's a small monthly fee, 2 levels to choose from. You pick. If you've got a question for me or Win during the show, put a Q in front of the question, but it ain't guaranteed. So if you want to guarantee it, throw us a Talk TV super chat, use the $sign, follow the instructions, blah, blah, blah. Anybody that becomes a member, any of our beautiful members that gift them, will be highlighted and thanked. And if you want to, you can still come on board with the £5 entry fee on the participation of the Prediction League. Even though we've had a few games now, it's still very close for a lot of people.
We've had
so close to
had
getting 5 points.
10 games now, and the highest score is 15, I believe.
Yeah, something like 15 or 17, somewhere
so that's
like that.
three correct results.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy, like I say, to try and predict Newcastle's results this season. Not as easy as not as we thought, I suppose, going into 25-26. It's been a bit of a tough start for Eddie. I didn't get a chance to obviously get your thoughts on the Arsenal game. So I suppose I better start there. I was disappointed, if I'm honest.
I think folks will be fed up with my take on it, because it's completely different to everybody else's. Not in that I was disappointed with the performance and with the result. None of that. Just the OTT Armageddon syndrome that resulted from it. That suddenly everything's wrong. Everything needs changing. We got beat off one of the title favourites, one of the biggest spending teams in Europe, as we have done with 2 of the other ones. And we got beat in injury time, 2 late goals again that have done well, which is worrying. Yes, it is worrying, because it's a bit of a trend, you could argue. But there's no need to throw the baby out with the bathwater yet. There's plenty time to correct all this. Yet again, we've made 2 major summer signings who virtually haven't been available. And just, I just say, keep your powder dry. Don't panic, Mr. Mannering. Don't panic.
I agree with. I do agree with the point that I don't think we should go mental, but I just find at this present moment in time, some of the decisions that were being made on Sunday were very negative. We're very, let's keep what we've got, rather than let's push them back up the field of play. And it seemed, if it was a boxing match, mate, the referee would have stopped it a long time ago. We just looked totally unorganised, and that was the fear for me.
You say that, and yet we're 1-0 up. We go down their end. We should have had a nailed-on penalty that we don't get, and that makes it 2-0. And then Livermento gets injured.
Yeah, that's a worry.
So he gets taken off. So we've got to reshuffle the pack, and the reshuffle didn't work. But the reshuffle didn't not work, in my opinion, because of the reshuffle itself. It was individual errors that cost us the
But that's
goals.
what I said. It looked confusing, didn't it? I mean, I couldn't understand. You've got Emil Kraft on the bench. That could have quite easily slotted in at right back with Kieran Trippier going over to left side, which he's done in the past at international level. And instead, he puts Jamal Lascelles on. And out for that extra height because he obviously realised that it was going to be thrown into the box. But my concern, mate, isn't the fact that it wasn't a great performance. I don't think it was a great performance at all, especially second half. I think the problem for me,
and I agree with that.
Yeah,
I think that's a fair assessment. It wasn't
Yeah.
a great performance by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and I think you've got to start. You've got to start questioning whether we've got some very important players for me now that are being touted for a new contract, and the mindset of these players with the crap that happened with the Rat over the summer, still not having a DOF, and it seems like Maricanos is trying to keep hold of Wilson. He's digging in his heels, and he wants him to stay. He's doing a very good job. Of doing,
Well, he's got a record of keeping people that he wants to keep.
Absolutely, yeah. It seems as though Maricanos is a very tough negotiator, if I'm honest with you. Or he's scary as hell behind the scenes because nobody seems to want to get on the wrong side of him. And I just find it at this very moment in time we're in a bit of a sticky situation regarding the mindsets of players, confidence going into these type of games. And I must admit, it's got to this point now where I honestly, and I don't say it very often, but this has got to be a must-win game. Because you look at our current record, 6 points in the Premier League out of 6 games. It's the worst so far under Eddie's tenure. Having spent 200 million, and you're quite right, we haven't utilised some of the players because of injuries. It looks very much as though Emil Kraft, according to form and according to the rumours, there's Emil Kraft was put on the bench even though he's nursing an injury, hence he didn't come on the field of play. And yet they left Lewis Hall home because of fatigue. So they're risking players that are carrying slight knocks, and yet because of fatigue, he don't get on the bench at all. So I have to question some of the, if it's true. And again, I have no insight into whether this
Lewis
is true
Hall's
or not.
on the plane.
Yeah, Lewis Hall's on the plane.
And so is Kraft. So is
yeah. But I, before I get any further, obviously the current situation is probably, for me, our standout player this season is Tino Livermento. This could potentially be a week out, could be potentially be 12 weeks out, depending on what the scans show. If it's a bruised bone, because obviously when he come down on his right foot in the air, having completely been thrown off balance by the challenge, he comes down quite heavily on that right leg. Sorry, was his left leg? Left leg, sorry. Which seems to twist as he hits the ground. Now, obviously, that to me, the way it looked, and you saw the stability exercise, which is what the physios did to make sure that there was no ACL issues there. But he was in some discomfort. So on them type of injuries, there's a lot of pressure become on the inside part of the knee, which is the medial ligament. And obviously, depending on what grade it is, grade 1 to grade 3, if there's a tear, will depend on how long he's away. But again, if you listen to the rumours again about Wissa, with his knee injury, they're now talking it could be November before we even see the lights of his eyes in a black and white shirt. So lots of little niggles happening behind the scenes. So fingers crossed for Tino Livermento that it's not the 12-weeker. Because 3 months is a long time when you've started the season the way he started. And I have to ask you the question. And I raised the question right at the start when I saw the team sheet on Sunday. Why doesn't Eddie choose? And to me, this is where he's lost a little bit of my respect. It was quite evident to me that he started Byrne and Botman because he couldn't drop either of them. Byrne because of his attitude. He's played well. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. We know that. And Botman, obviously, he's a little recovering from his injuries, but played well. He's come into the team. He's building a relationship.
He's like a Rolls Royce. He's always in the garage.
I've got a Rolls. It's called a Rose Canardly. It rolls downhill, but can hardly get up them. Anyway, and for me that was the thing for me, playing the system and that he played. I thought he was gambling, and as much as you've argued to the point, and you're very correct in saying that Dan Byrne was in the best defence as left back in the Premier League. But he was always under the spotlight, if you like, against Arsenal, and I think that was probably one of those decisions. Now, if Eddie was to take anything back, I think he would have looked at that again and maybe changed his perspective. I just think he bottled it.
But again, I've now watched the full 90 minutes, the full 90 minutes 3 times. And the second time, specifically, because of what everybody was saying, and because of what I thought, well, I must be watching this game through through a mist or something. He had 29 involvements in 90 minutes. 24 of those involvements were either perfectly adequate, and I would go through each individual one with anybody and say, you tell me what he did wrong there. So they were either perfectly adequate or, in fact, very, very good in terms of winning the ball, passing the ball. Because this Rolls Royce that is Botman, how many times did Botman take responsibility and carry the ball or pass the ball forward? How many? 3. How many times did he pass the ball to Dan Byrne for him to do it? And by the way, 3 times under severe, when Byrne was not taking the ball easily and there weren't good balls, and Byrne handled the situation, got out of it and passed the ball forward. That was 3 occasions. And the rest of the time, he gave 1 ball away, but that was because he was under severe pressure. But he got rid of it. They got the ball, but it was in their own half, not between our penalty box and D, which was where he was past the ball. And I just think, are people not seeing this? This wonderful Rolls Royce that we've got of Botman.
Yeah. I think what you've got to. For me, it's not about what Dan Byrne did defensively, because I think he did well, apart from right at the end where he just didn't seem to get off the floor.
Yeah, well, that's one of the 5 that I marked him down on.
It is one of those situations, right at the end, at the death, where you need everybody to be on their toes.
But even then, stupidly, it was Barnes who was actually marking what's his face. He ran away from Barnes, let him get away, and then Byrne was the automatic cover, but he was caught flat-footed, no doubt about that.
Absolutely. And like I said, you can't just knock him for that 1 point. But for me, and like I said, Saka did get by him a couple of times.
By the way, for the first goal, it completely, misjudged everything.
Everything, yeah. Well, like I said, it's Marino again, isn't it? Coming to haunt us.
And the second goal, Pope is as much to blame as anybody.
I don't agree with that at all, because if you look at it well, I don't know whether it was Saliba or Gabriel.
I just think if you come for the ball the way Pope came for the ball,
you've got to get it.
You've got to get it, and defenders, seeing or sensing that's what he's, has he shouted and he's coming for it, they automatically tend to get out the way and let him get on with it.
Yeah, that was the only excuse I could give Dan Burn, if I'm honest with it, is if he's had a call from Pope for not jumping. But like I said, you've got to give credit where credit's due, because Saliba did a number on Pope. He just backed into him, so it stopped him coming forward to punch it clear. So it was clever. It was clever by Arsenal, to be fair. But like I say, sometimes when you say to referees, and I didn't think he had a great game. The officials, to be fair, and you talk about
dreadful, but it's you're wasting your breath really.
You are
complaining about the referees.
No, but I'm just saying it just seems to, we just don't get the rub of the green these days, do we? That's the way it feels to me at the minute. There's lots of question marks around whether it should have been a penalty, and the excuse was you can't give a penalty if it deflects off the defender up to his arm. Now, for me, if you look at it closely, it looks very much as though it's cleared and deflected from the defender against Elanga and then back. If you look at it frame by frame, but it's one of them. It's so hard to actually nail down. They're always going to go with the defender, I think. But anyway, let's get on to the game in hand, I suppose.
Well, just before we do that, then let's have a look at some of these stars that on the subject on what we've been talking about. Geordie Dan, good to see Lewis Hollandshay on the plane. And as much as I felt BDB should not have been in the left-back position because Saka was outpacing him, again, tell me when. Wynne might be happy to know Keith... Wynne might be happy to know Keith Downey agreed with him that Dan Burn played well, so it just shows different views. Newcastle will win 3-1. That's tonight, I assume. I'm not Eddie out, but there are major questions on Eddie. It was clear we needed a 10. El Kenus is who he's suggesting, I suppose, especially since we don't create enough or score from wings in midfield. Instead, we got, assume he means Jacob Ramsey. I assume he means, yeah, but, you see, in my opinion, Voldemort is the 10. And it's a bedding in process, it's a learning curve. For to take advantage of Voldemort, our wingers and midfielders, one of them has to get in front of him all the time so that they can take advantage of his clever little flicks. That's my opinion anyway. What is Wynne smoking? We created one big chance and score compared to Arsenal's many. How many times? I'm not saying we played well. We didn't play well. But we could have done enough to win. Did we deserve to win the game on the balance of play? Definitely not. But how many times have we been on the other side of that coin?
Oh, absolutely.
When we deserved to win and didn't. That's football for you. Welcome to the real world. Chow looks to be the best signing of the summer. Again, people going way overboard for Chow at the minute for me. He had a good game on Saturday, no doubt about it. But not kind of stellar. All it takes is one person point the finger and everybody jumps on the bandwagon. That's absolutely right. Just takes one person to point someone out and suddenly everybody's on the same theme. Got to start Chow Botman every game, Hall left back, but Eddie has his faves. Yeah, Eddie's got his faves, and if you're arguing that Byrne is one of his faves, I'm not going to disagree with you, but the reason he's one of his faves is because he's the best defender all season. And he's always available, and he's got commitment, and he's got everything else that any manager would die for, including Thomas Tuchel in England. So that's all of them. So let's move on, should we?
Yeah, I've just had some breaking news. We're talking about the sporting director coming in. It looks very much as though, according to the Forest News, Forest are looking for £8 million compensation for Ross Wilson. and he's determined to keep him. So they've put a price tag of £8 million in compensation on his head. That's an interesting one.
So, well, if they have put a price of £8 million on his head, let's assume, and if that's been the sticking point for why he hasn't joined earlier, let's assume he joined before the window and would pay the £8 million, got him in before the window. How many points would that £8 million be worth now? If we'd signed players before the 1st of September when we'd already played 3 games. What price those points?
No, well,
Could be worth hundreds of millions. Those 7 points that we dropped start of the season. When you stick those at the end of the season, stick those 7 on and see where we would have been.
And that's what
It could be the difference between Europa and Champions League, the difference between non-European and European. It could be anything.
Yeah, I just think, like I said, at this present moment in time, Matt, we'll be lucky to be top 10 if we continue in where we are. I mean, this is what we were saying, isn't it? It could be a very transitional season, this, for Newcastle, with the amount of new blood that's come in. The problem is we haven't lost any talent apart from the players that were struggling to get into the side. And as typical, Sean Longstaff goes and scores for Leeds.
I'll tell you a funny thing about Sean Longstaff, right? You know the stats I had? Games when he'd started and games when he hadn't. You should see how they look now.
Yeah, I can imagine. So it's like I said, this is what haunts you with being a Newcastle fan, isn't it? Even the Deadwood that we thought couldn't even get into the side, go elsewhere and produce something for others. Especially when what makes it worse is when you're struggling to get a result. Yeah, and like I said, for me, it's all about positive mindset with lads going, especially into Europe. Now, there's been a cracking photo by Dominic Skur, who's over in Brussels. I don't know whether anybody's seen this. It's quite incredible when you look at their training ground. And I think the headlines was "The Magpies are here." This is the photograph of their training ground, which looks like the end of the season rather than the beginning of the season. But there's 3 magpies, or is that a crow over the far side? There's certainly 2 magpies in the picture. And you know what the story is? 2 for joy. And if that's a crow over the other end, I don't know. But like I said, it is going to be an interesting. And
that's the training pitch, is it?
Well, I believe so. That's been touted, but again, it could be anything, mate. To be fair,
well, they are definitely continental buildings in the
buildings at the back. Yeah, exactly. So, but it does look a little bit rough, if I'm honest.
No. Rough.
So let's go into what we're talking about then with this Union Saint-Gilloise over in Belgium. You've got some information. I've got some information. Let's see if we can marry the two. Do you want to start?
Well, current season, they're currently riding high at the top of the Belgian league with 6 wins and 2 draws. They reached the round of 16 in the Europa last season. They finished the top scorers this season so far, which is interesting to me. I haven't watched them a lot. I haven't watched them at all, really. The top scorers this season are Raul Floruch and Kevin Rodriguez with 7 goals each. Last season's top scorer, Franjo Ivanovic, with 24 goals. They sold him to Benfica for £4 million, and they've obviously found a replacement in this Raul Floruch, who's scoring goals. That second top scorer last season, or actually top scorer if you count the cup and everything, was David Promise. He's still there, but can't get a game.
Mm.
So these Floruch and Rodriguez are keeping him out. Perfect home form. this season, 3 wins and not a goal conceded. And 3 wins and 2 draws away from home, including, of course, that PSV away win in the Champions League, which sees them sitting at the top of the up at the top of the Champions League section. No major injuries at all currently affecting the squad, operating at full strength. The manager tends to go with a 3-5-2 formation with wing backs pushing high, and Puertas and Armani dictating the tempo in the middle. And the forwards that have been rotated, with the exception that Floric is never present, are Floric, Rodriguez, and Ivanovic, who all offer different sorts of threat.
Interesting.
So there you go.
There you have it. Well, it's virtually...
That's good old AI for you.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend I've researched all that, because other than pressing the button, I haven't.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's virtually what I've got down here. 3-5-2 is literally how they played against PSV away. They can drop this because there's a couple of players on this. Kalali, this lad at number 25 down the bottom here. He's more of a winger than a right wing back, if you like. He's the one that can be dominant in this area. Again, really good, impressive work. Hadji drops into the 10, and what you can do is get Nang, who will just drop back. So they can quite comfortably become a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2, depending on how they want to play at home. But you're right, they tend to like the 3-5-2 type of shape, but they have a lot of flexibility in teams and players. So what I was going to do is just have a quick look at some of their star players and how they seem to be performing. Kevin Rodriguez seems to be doing quite good, as you say. Let's just do a little bit of a change over here, because I'm just going to put that on. I have to do this because if not, it just throws the whole screen out for everybody else and it just looks a little bit odd. But what I can do is do Kevin Rodriguez's little pie chart so everybody can see this, and it just saves me just talking to myself on the screen. So there you go. This is Kevin Rodriguez's pie chart. Like I say, I mean, this lad, I don't know a lot about, but again, when you look at shots attempted, 98% in the percentile, touches 96%, chances created above 50%, aerial duels won. He's quite a tall guy, 1.9 meters, 190 centimeters. He's a good, and like I say, 76 on his defensive contribution. So again, he uses his height to good advantage, mainly as a striker, but he can play right wing. Like you said, 4 goals in 539 minutes with an average rating of 7.26. And for Union Gillois this season, as you've already said, 4 goals in 10 appearances with 1 assist and a 7.3 rating. Again, he comes with I suppose he's a danger man, but he seems to be, with the rating at the minute, he seems to be the one that seems to be ticking a lot of boxes. The next one I wanted to talk about is Promise David, somebody that you were saying he's not really hitting the heavy heights if you look at performance. Obviously Canadian, 4 goals in 333 minutes, average rating of 6.82. But again, you look at his club, he knows where the back of the net is. 29 goals in 50. And this season he scored 5 in 9 with no assists. But again, his all-round performances, it's just based on around about 6.9 with very little else to go with. It seems to be, like I say,
And
again,
bear in mind, these ratings are in the Belgian league.
exactly. But if you
So
look at his height again, 1.95 centimeters. He's a tall kid.
So land of the Giants.
Land of the Giants, indeed. So aerially, as you can imagine, they're
And
going to be very
Jamie
good.
was saying last night that a pal of his who we befriended when we played in Brussels the last time, he's been talking to him about USG, and he said they are very, very physical.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And-
you have
and-
to be
and
on
just-
training grounds like that, mate. Because, like I say, he's
and
no chance
just-
of controlling the ball.
Just with you mentioning the heights of the two the players that you've highlighted so far. Don't know if you've got any more, but they are going to be physical. But I haven't got any worries about physicality with our team, to be fair.
No.
GS7, BDB, Botman. They should be able to handle themselves.
Yeah,
And strangely, on the PSV game, which I checked out, no yellow cards.
no yellow cards, exactly.
So
but if you look
they're
at
physical without being dirty, it would appear.
too filthy. You look at the pizza chart here, and again, everything on the on or above the 50 percentile, and you can imagine aerial duels once over 72%, 83% in defensive contributions, goals 99%, shots attempts 94%. And touches at just under 50%. So, chances, everything on there, you say it is the Belgian league. Apologies if you can hear my dog barking. I think somebody's just knocked the door. And until somebody goes and answers it, nobody will, he won't stop barking. And I'm hoping somebody will get off the bum and go and answer it, but it doesn't look like they are. Raul Florx is the other one, and that seems to be doing really well. For these guys, 182. Another tall guy, striker again, 24-year-old Austrian. Again, the values of some of these players is little to nothing, but they seem to be getting a little bit of a tick out of them.
Oh, you're frozen. Gary's frozen there, so let me see what else we've got here. As I said, there was no major injuries.
Up the park.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah. And then you 92%, 80%. I don't know what's going on there with my... I don't know what happened there. But like I say, again, he's dangerous in the right areas within the box. So, like Wynn says, this is the guy who seems to be hitting the high notes at the minute. And like I said, Kalali seems to be this guy who can play anywhere down the right-hand side, as you can see here. Again, 183 in height. Again, nothing small. An Israeli guy. One goal in 673 minutes with a rating of 7.45. And again, he contributes towards the goals. But again, it's a nice pizza pie, if I'm honest with you. You look at this, anything above 50%, and you're doing really well. And he's well into that. 61% chances created. He likes the ball at feet, 66. Shots attempted, 78%. Like I say, just over 50% with his creativity on goals, 55%. Defensive contributions, again with the height, 89%, 72% of aerial duels won. So these guys aren't small. Like I say, it's the land of giants. And they've got the ability to play different systems, and it seems to suit them with their current form in the Belgian league. So it's going to be an interesting one because, like I say, PSV away, you'd think it'd be a bit of a test for them, but PSV aren't playing very well. But it seems, like I say, as though these guys have got the bit between the teeth. So it ain't going to be easy for Newcastle, mate.
Do you think the fact that they're having to play away from their own ground might play into our hands? Because they're playing at Anderlecht Stadium because their own stadium doesn't meet Champions League requirements. For us, it's 9,400 capacity.
Yeah.
So, and that to me, you know how we've got a situation in this country where if a team in Division 1 gets... Oh, I had the situation with Gateshead, in fact, didn't we?
When the stadium.
They couldn't come into the league proper because they didn't have the right... nothing wrong with Gateshead Stadium, that would have satisfied, but because they couldn't show that they had the right to play there because Gateshead Council dug their heels in, they missed out on promotion, which would have been huge for the Heat.
Yeah, absolutely.
But equally, Luton Town recently had... they had to do something with their ground when they were looking like getting promoted, because they were told they couldn't come into the Prem unless da-di-da-di-da. Why has the Champions League not got similar provisions in place? Whereby if your own ground, I suppose you've got to imagine that it's because, if you're in, let's say, Iceland, with a total population of, 300,000 kind of thing, then, you ain't going to have a 60,000 seater stadium. But you would have thought that should still be something that prevents you switching grounds.
Yeah, I think, when you think of their capacity...
Unless they're moving purely... I don't know that they're moving because they've been told they've got to, because their ground isn't up to spec, or are they moving, in fact, just to make more money?
Yeah, I'm going to say, you think the 9,000 allocation will be filled by Newcastle?
Yeah.
Quite comfortably.
Well, again, I was gutted, it went down to, I think, 198 loyalty points to get a ticket.
Yeah. It was
Crackers.
just, very difficult to get anything. I mean, there's stuff on the black market, as always. If you want to go and play ridiculous prices.
When we played, who was it we played? When Collins mate, well, I'm saying Collins mate, it wasn't even Collins mate, it was someone in Collins blog.
Oh, yeah, the lad from...
the lad from Belgium.
Yeah. I saw that. He was 800 euros or something.
He'd been quoted 800 euros for a ticket for the match.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
And he says I wasn't going to be paying that. No, neither would I.
Neither would I.
I mean, I would, if I've had that sort of brass to
throw around.
Waste,
Exactly.
I say waste in inverted commas, I would do it, but most people have got much more important things to spend 800. You can get a 7-day holiday for that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just having a quick glance at Strand Larson. Apparently, has been speaking on the failed Newcastle move. Everyone wants to take new steps. It was the Champions League club that was being talked about, but it will happen again, and it will always continue. The important thing is that the club showed confidence in me afterwards, and we solved that in a good way. Obviously, got an enhanced contract. It's been turbulent this summer. Personally, I think it was great to be done with it. Of course, you were a little affected. Everyone has a dream of taking new steps. At the same time, I feel very safe and good here at Wolves. I got the captain's armband today for the match against Spurs, and I feel that I am an important part of the team. But at the same time, you want to take new steps when you're doing well. The more years I do well at Wolves, the better my chances will be in the future. We all have contracts, but at the same time, it's important that clubs and players manage to have a proper dialogue. Maybe last paragraph, dig at Isaac. Yeah, there you go. I tell you something now, his name just keeps rumbling on. And another thing I wanted to show you guys is
Just two seconds, just for Joey Linton, because he's given you a shout a couple of times. Celebrates 10 months of membership.
hey, well done, Joey.
Where's the Yank? The Yanks will be in the land of nuts still, because it's like 5 o'clock in the
5
morning.
o'clock there. He's probably just getting out of bed because he starts.
Yeah, he does get up early. Like.
He does. He's a bit of a night owl, not unlike me.
No, he's the opposite, isn't he? He's an early bird.
Well, yeah. But he does get up at 3:30 in the morning for the presses, which is crazy. And a big well done. And I suppose there was very few contenders to compete with this one. Big Nick, he's got the Seller Player of the Month for September. But like I say, the way we've performed, there's been very few players that he's competed against.
Well, I said nonetheless, he wouldn't have been mine. There's been better performers for the full month.
I think it's the fact that, like I say, he's come in to a brand new team, and you talk about players that need to adapt to styles and tactics, and he seems to have. I might say he's not one of the players that you think, oh, he's bedded straight in, and he doesn't look a natural 9, but he seems to do what he needs to do, and that's like obviously when we call for it, he knows where the net is. And like I say, it's one of the hardest jobs in the football industry to do on a regular occasion.
The hardest job.
So, like I say, fair play to him for that, because, like I say, I think the pressure's been well and truly on him. Another interesting read. The Premier League is facing pressure from clubs over rising running costs. The legal battle alone now close to 100 million over 2 years, amid cases brought against Man City, Nottingham Forest and Everton. This is a report in the Telegraph talking about the rising cost of running a football club. And I suppose it's something that we can have a slight look at. I mean, like I say, I can't really see a great deal because I have to become a member, as always, with this one. But it seems very much like there's a battle going on about the ever increasing cost of running a football club compared to what you can go into a loss. We've said it on more than one occasion on this stream alone, where they don't seem to put inflation on certain parts of the clause, and yet they do on everything else. But it seems as though the Premier League are under scrutiny when it comes to doing something about it. And I think it's only going to be a matter of time now before it's either the PSR side of things is either scrapped or it's revised completely. And I know they're talking about doing it. They're trying to do this cap as well, aren't they? Again, I can't see how it's going to work with a cap. But I suppose
they've been arguing about the factor that they're going to use, in it 4.5 or 5.
Yeah, it depends on where you want.
Cases.
Yeah, it depends on where you want.
I think they should just put a maximum on it.
Yeah. Anything in the stars, buddy, that we need to talk about? Because I know we've...
No, what I was just going to ask you, though, is with regard to Voldemort, with your tactical genius, do you think it's surprising that we haven't devised a system yet that's fully utilising his different skill set to that of Isaac? Do you think it's a, mind-blowing that we haven't already managed to find a way to bed him in, for want of a better expression?
Yeah, I mean, there is systems in play when you look at it, and we were talking about what potentially could have been our starting lineup the weekend, and it wasn't, which was surprising because it gave you balance as well as getting people up and around. For me, there is something happening, because if you notice, even with Murphy's playing more inside right than he is playing outside right these days. So again, I think Eddie's trying to manipulate the system to either get Bruno or J7, either width up through the middle, playing those inside channels to get closer to Voltemada, to get in and behind him. The problem is with Newcastle, apart from Elanga and Gordon, his pace. Bruno hasn't got the pace sometimes to beat a back line. J7 hasn't got the pace to beat a back line. We know Voltemada hasn't. So you're looking very much on the width, and the disappointment for me, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you, has been Elanga. I mean, Anthony Gordon hasn't blown me frock up, to be fair, but I haven't seen an absolute jot from Elanga since he's been at the club, and you can't say he hasn't had the opportunity. But he seems, and even against Arsenal, there was times where he just stood there, and he looked like a rabbit in headlights. And for me, it doesn't matter where you play, doesn't matter what position the gaffer's asked you to play in, you have to be involved, And like I say, for me, he's looking more and more one of these luxury players. And as usual, I got shot down in flames the weekend. It's commentator's curse, isn't it? Because there's me at the start saying I don't really rate Eze, and by Christ, did he make me eat my words? Because he's a luxury player, he doesn't work, and yet he bloody worked hard for Arsenal.
Again, you see, you're saying, did he make you eat your words? And I do rate him.
Yeah,
I would have loved to have got him, but I didn't think he was all that on Sunday.
Oh, he was outstanding.
Yes, he had the early shot, and he was involved in the second goal, I think it was. But exactly I didn't see the work rate.
Yeah, if like I say, if you watch the game and just when what I do is sometimes just watch a player. I don't, especially when Chris is commentating the first half. What I have a tendency of doing is just switching off from the play and just watching a player. And I wanted to see what Eze was going to be doing against Newcastle, and I thought he'd be just beyond Gyökeres, playing in that high role, as we've seen him play a number of times, not only for Arsenal but also Crystal Palace. But he didn't. He actually come back, and he was supporting in and around the centre circle, and he was linking up some of the play and the movements. Absolutely outstanding. And like I said, I'll raise my hand up when I'm wrong, and I got the system completely wrong for Newcastle, and there was me saying that the person I'd be looking out for would have been somebody totally different. And it was, to me, it was Eze who was there, I think, standout performer. And the reasons why I say standout performer was because he played in the hole. To a degree, he was the one that was not only linking play, he was the one that was, he was guiding, getting round players quite comfortably in and around the box, keeping hold of the ball. His shot, the way he developed the shot, some of those volleys that he was producing. I mean, yes, there was 2 really good saves from Popey, but I mean, they were class, especially the volley where he had to literally throw his foot to the side, get his hip over the top of the ball to keep it low, and it come through a body of players for Pope to make that save to the right-hand side. And that's what I'm saying. If it wasn't for Nick Pope, you say we went 1-0 up, we'd have been 2-0 down, mate, before we'd even kicked a ball. And I think that is something that we need to highlight. And that's why I said, for me, we looked a little bit ragged. We looked as if we, again, gave them far too much respect. And we have to look at this setup sometimes. And I keep saying it about respect. Do we give too much respect? And instead of going out there and playing our natural game, which is the press, which is I don't always expect us to have the high intensity, but I always expect a press. I always expect us to try and play in the opposition half. These days, like I say, it's more in the second half. It was evident, when we went to 4-5-1, it was just like a case of two lines, two banks, literally 25 to 30 yards out. What you expecting? You know what I mean? At home at St James's Park.
Well, the other thing, I don't know if you heard what I said, guys, about our fitness was legendary for the first couple of years. We knew we would be going right until the 90th minute and beyond. But the way we are now, seemingly completely running out of steam in the last 10 minutes, is this something that Bunce has got something to do with? Because again, that intensity that we had, that was so instrumental in our success, was, it could be argued, responsible for all of the injuries that we kept on getting. And has Bunce come in and said, look, you cannot do this. It's going to be detrimental for the players in terms of injuries. So has that intensity diminished with I'm talking about in training as well, such that fitness levels are not where they were 2 years ago. So we haven't got that ability to press the way we used to be able to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an important, I suppose it's an important point that we you look at, and there's got to be some correlation between the two. There's got to be a rationale to the reasons why we don't do it. Because like in certain games, we go and press, and then it seems as if the lads get to the 30-minute mark, and they've been told to sit off and have your breather, and just keep whatever you've got until half time. And then when we come to half time, we'll regroup and do it again. But that's what I'm saying. As much as I thought we were involved in quite a bit in the first half against Arsenal, we looked all over the shop completely. Like I said, and for me, the biggest problem at the minute is, where does Elanga fit in this side? And I had my doubts at the start, especially when there's certain players that have come in and out of other teams that seem to have hit the ground running. And listen, there's other teams. You've only got to look at Florian Wirtz, 117 million at Liverpool, not really hit the ground running there. So this happens. But again, you can still see quality with Wirtz. I haven't seen enough of Elanga. That's what I said. For me, in a game against Arsenal, there's got to be some grit. There's got to be some determination. And I think he just looks scared. I don't know what it is, whether it's playing at St James's Park. That's daunting. Seems a little bit too much for him at the minute. But, there was times where he stood out on the right-hand side and he just stood. The ball comes to him, but he's on his heels, and the ball just he's unable to do anything with the ball. He's getting challenged because there's no body movement from him. I expected a lot.
I tell you what I'm noticing, and not just in Newcastle games, but in loads when you're watching. Back in my day, the first rule of defending was
attack.
Don't let it bounce.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't let the ball bounce. If it bounces, you've got no control.
Absolutely. Meet the ball in the air. That's more and
more watching loads of different games.
Yeah.
That philosophy seems to have gone out the window.
Yeah.
With the resultant chaos that it brings.
Yeah.
And nobody's guilty of it more than we are.
Well, I mean,
the number of times I'm saying, don't let it bounce, man.
Yeah, I think that's where the difference. We've seen it in the past. Che was really guilty of it against Gyökeres, but again, Gyökeres was, and I said Gyökeres read that. He run the line beautifully, and I hope, but like the likes of Asula watches that game back and just watches Gyökeres. As much as he didn't get a goal, what he did was cause havoc. He caused a lot of trouble. Now, up against Malik Chow, where he was running again on that right-hand side of the two, like you said, there's just a punt, which is, again, totally unheard of for the likes of Arsenal. A team that likes to play on the floor, they didn't want it in their half at all. They wanted to compete in our half. So the idea was get it long, and that's what I couldn't understand. Why have we got a situation now where we've got two centre halves with a little bit of pace? I'm not saying they're both, Ilanga. Go on, mate. I'll let you do that one.
It's Warren again. Superstar Warren. Got confidence with Ilanga. He's went back to Man U. Man U days, I assume he's mean.
Yeah. I just think he's, like I say, he's a rabbit in the headlights at the minute. But I just think, like you said, the biggest thing, the one thing, again, you look at them picking up the one opportunity that Chow had got to meet it in the air was when the back pass, and it was obviously deemed a penalty, then overturned. It all come from a punt again, Eze working deep into his own half on that left-hand side, brings the ball out away from Murphy. No, it was Bruno who lost the ball.
I was going to say, let's take it back to that, because that yet again
on the half turn
was Bruno losing the ball on the half turn. I don't know whether you saw the bit that I put in the forum, because I clipped it. We can't show it on here, unfortunately, for copyright reason. But Saka goes through. We've just had a corner, so everybody's up there. The ball comes out, gets fed to Bruno, who loses it. All of our defenders are in the box. And they start running back. Now, to be fair, flowers to Chow, because he was the first one to get back. But Gordon had done what Gordon was tasked to do, which was when Dan Burn isn't there, track him. And Gordon did a brilliant job tracking Saka back. So when that ball came over, Gordon was right there to stop Saka doing anything with it instantly, and there was a bit of a bobble that he got lucky with, and it went to another Arsenal player, I forget who it was now, who then saw the space to play into Gyökeres. Now, at that simultaneously, Tonali is running back with Gyökeres, and Tonali is in front of Gyökeres. As they approach the area where the aerial ball is coming into, Tonali is still in front of Gyökeres. That little bobble involving Saka and the other Arsenal player, who I can't remember, distracted Tonali, and that was when Gyökeres ran past him, and suddenly Tonali realised that, but it was too late. Gyökeres was already on the ball. That was the penalty incident. It left him one-on-one. That was because Tonali had a moment's hesitation, not concentrating on what he was doing, which was tracking Gyökeres, and Gyökeres was in on goal. And this is the wonderful, flawless Tonali. That's all I'm saying. Players, make mistakes.
Oh, absolutely. They make mistakes a lot more under pressure than they ever will, if they're given time on the ball. But it was, like I said, it's just the fact that sometimes I look at us, and if the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, these are the two that are vying for Premier League titles, hoof the ball to a front man. Yeah? Get rid of it. Why can't we do the same? Come on.
Warren's in again, lad. Thank you, Warren. Remember, we're talking about international players. Yeah, we are, but we've got our own international players as well. Or is that what you're saying?
Well, that's what I said.
By virtue of the fact that they're international players, they should know the basics. Because if that's what you're saying, I completely agree with you.
Well, you can't go wrong with that, can you? Because, like I say, they're all played at the pinnacle and the heady heights of their careers. So you've got to go with that. But like I said, for me, there's got to be there's got to be something happening at this present moment in time that's just not clicking. And like I said, whether is it more detrimental us losing Isaac, not for goal scoring, but the team dynamics, the team setup, and I think that
Or
could be the
is
one
it
thing.
more important losing Tino?
Well, I tell you that is going to be
saying Tino going up was the biggest issue. With Share out, Lascelles had to come on and made the team extremely defensive. Yep, that's true. But it didn't matter at the time. If you think about it, at the time we're winning.
Not when well, yeah, it was, wasn't it? We were still fighting for it. But like I said, for me, the plus, and I understand what he's saying though.
So going defensive for 10 minutes shouldn't be a problem.
No. But what I'm saying is, you're taking a complete a release out. You know what I mean? Once you take up that wide man out, whether he's playing right side or left side, you're losing.
But Tino has got that ability to pick the ball up, beat a man, and really.
And I must admit, Malik Chow did it fantastically well. Down that left hand side too, he run out 50, 60 yards with the ball past a couple of Arsenal players. Right then, who's your team going to be then for the game against USG? So I'm going to put it back on. This is what I have gone with. And obviously, we haven't got Lascelles in this squad because he wasn't chosen. And I'm sure there's Eddie Howe's looking at that decision now and biting down hard on a piece of wood, because we've lost Tina potentially for, like I say, up to 3 months. It could be. So I've gone with Pope, 4 at the back with Trippier, Chow, Botman, and Hall. Again, I don't think he'll have the balls to drop down Burn. So I don't think it will be a case of Botman being in the side. I think it'll be Burn. Joe Linton, Tonali, and Bruno in the middle, with Alanga, Gordon, and Wolfie up the top.
And I agree entirely with that lineup, the Eddie lineup I'm talking about, with Burn instead of Botman, Joe instead of Share. Yeah. Although Burn and Share, bear in mind, 4 clean sheets. When they start.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I think.
But I don't think Share will come back in.
No, I don't either. Especially, like I say, going on the concussion side of things, and like I said, I don't think Chow has had a bad game to a point where he looks. I mean, he looks out of place. I think for every game he's playing now, he looks more, with it. The only thing for me now is obviously Chow has played alongside Botman a lot of times now. I know Burn has played, but obviously Burn played out on the left-hand side of a 3 and also at left back. So if Burn comes in there, is there a relationship between between Chow and Burn, the same as there is between Chow and Botman now?
The only other thing I would do as well, mind, is, and I know Pope saved our bacon.
Yeah, Ramsdale.
Because we could have well been out the game if it wasn't for Pope. A lot of people have said his saves were, standard. I disagree with that. I thought the first one, especially when he tipped the ball, the Ezzy shot that he tipped round the post, I thought was an outstanding save. You can argue the other 3 were pretty regulation, but I just think the trouble that he puts us into with his kicking is, let's have a look at Alanga. We're playing USG, okay, Belgian champions, all of that, but we should be beating USG. If we can't beat USG, what chance have we got against, Marseille, Benfica, the rest of them, PSG?
Exactly.
So I would be very, very tempted.
Do you just on a bit of fun here? Do you know what the stadium is called at USG?
It's Sam Martin, isn't it?
It's the Lotto Park in Brussels.
Oh no, that's where they're playing tonight. That's Anderlecht Stadium.
Anderlecht, the Lotto.
But the
Park.
USG Stadium is Saint Martin.
Saint Martin. Um, like I say, if you look at the way these guys, according to what Alexander
Joseph
Blessing,
Marian, Stade Joseph Marian, Art Deco Stadium in the Douden Forest Park area of Brussels.
and did you say that there was no injuries? According to this, they've got a couple of Mohamed Fouziini is out with an ankle injury. Florux is suspended, so they've lost Florux, and I think that's the reasons why he wasn't in the side against PSV, unless this is against PSV, and I'm just reading it out again. Van der Peer and Boufal are back after hamstrings and issues. So they've got a couple of players to come in, so they could come into the side if they've had enough recovery time. Camille Van der Peer and Sofiane Boufal. So yeah, interesting one. And like I say, we know Tino Livermento's out with a knee injury, and obviously could be out for some time. And we know now that Jacob Ramsey and Johan Wissa, certainly Ramsey will be end of October. Wissa could be into November, so we could be a long time from that. So Fabian Schär has come in because obviously we've lost Jamal Lascelles because he wasn't included in the Champions League side. So we are limited when it comes to some of them players. And if it's true what they were saying about Kraft carrying a knock, we ain't got much on the bench when it comes to fullbacks. So will Dan Burn be rested because of the potential Lewis Hall only getting an hour?
Could be, or it could be that if that was the case, if he's going to be taken off after an hour, then Botman could come in and burn two left back.
Yeah. Well, like I say, it's going to be an interesting one.
Or Trips can go to left back and Kraft can come on.
But that's what I said. If I don't know why, like I say, I don't know how true the rumor is whether Kraft is carrying this knock. But when the camera panned on him just before the start of the match when they were in the tunnel, didn't look a happy boy. I don't know what's going on, but he didn't look a happy boy, Crafty, or whether he was just concentrating on obviously getting his mindset ready. But like I said, that's what I said, where usually you get bubbly characters all chatting amongst each other. His body language to me, Kraft, was low. And like I said, there's certainly something happening behind the scenes that we're not sure of yet. And that's why I said, I don't know. You hear all these contract rumours now being put on the shelf because of not having a director of football in play. I think there could be potentially the fact that the boys just aren't mentally right yet to negotiate properly.
There's something that looks to be not right, shall we say. The performances are way below what we could reasonably expect. And as I say, one... the reason that I'm pinning my hopes on the fact that we've spent so long as a team devising players to set up Isaac, that now that he's not there and now that Voldemort is such a different beast to Isaac, that we're just taking a lot more time than I thought would probably need to facilitate that.
No, you're right. I'm just having a quick look on. Got to start. Where are we? There was a Claire. Do you think this is a good? Do you think they'll recall Target from Middlesbrough?
No. I think that bird has flown. I'm not buying that horse, as Chris would say.
Yeah, I like I said, I think
the one thing I haven't seen listed anywhere is how much wages Middlesbrough are paying Target.
No, there's been no mention of it.
Listen, he's certainly
He's hitting the high notes for him.
Proving his worth with them.
Yeah, he certainly is.
So it could be that come January they're going to really push the boat out to sign him.
Yeah, that's it. So we're back on with some news and gossip, whatever it is, at 9 o'clock tonight. So
well, we've got hopefully there's still nothing listed yet, but hopefully
we're doing the watch along.
Well, we'll put it this way: we will be on in a couple of hours' time at about 3:10 for what is supposed to be the Eddie Howe pre-match press conference. And it should be Eddie Howe plus one player.
Yeah. Are you okay doing that if I'm not back?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because like I say,
I'll definitely be back for then.
Okay. It's usually about 3:30, isn't it? Usually, and 4 o'clock.
Well, we thought it was 3:30.
Yeah.
Last week, and it turned out to be 4 o'clock.
But is it the home side that gets to choose the time?
I have no idea.
Yeah, you see, that's what I'm saying. We could be under scrutiny from USG on this one. Eddie Howe may have chosen the 4 o'clock slot for home games, but I'm not sure because they've got, what is it, between midday and 8 p.m., isn't it?
At 8 p.m, yeah. Let's just have a quick look.
That's what I'm saying.
See if there's been an update. The last time I looked, to be fair, was about 11 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, it's so difficult to try and get it bang on. It's going to be
all right. Here we go. Yeah, they've got it. Media briefing. 3 o'clock.
He's set for 3 p.m. Yeah,
Chris is just 3 o'clock. Right. Yeah. Okay. So we'll be on in that case at 2:50.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Like I say, I'm hoping I'll be back, but I don't think I will. But as long as you're happy to jump on board with that, I'll be grand. Right then, team, I've got to disappear. I've got an hour's travel in front of me. So I will, hopefully I may see you later on. But if not, I'll see you tonight later on when I'm on with the panel, talking all things Newcastle again. Thanks to Warren for your support and welcome, Joe Linton, for your 10 months membership. Yeah,
and if you're not a member, become a member. Really helps us out, keeps us going.
Absolutely.
Mainly for free. Hit the likes, hit the share, hit the bell button. Don't miss a thing.
That is the biggest
thank
thing.
you all for your continued support.
Yeah. Right then, I will love you and leave you. Like I say,
we've bust the 7,900 now, so
we're going.
We've been clawing our way to that 8,000, so help us out, subscribe and get us there.
All right, mate. Thank you so much to Win for doing all the background. Like I say, every Champions League he's done, so we've got it all ready to go. He's worked hard. Thank you everybody for watching. As always, see you later on. It'll either be me or him at 2:50. It'll definitely be me at 9. You on with me 9 tonight?
I'm doing the match, yeah. But
you're doing the match? All right, okay. Which match are you doing?
Oh, sorry, man. That's tomorrow, man.
I'm going to say.
Yes. I'll be on it.
There's no show tonight. We got the UCL Champions League hate along. So Chris is doing that. That's what you meant.
That's the match I'm doing.
That's what I'm saying.
Doing a match tonight.
Yeah, well, for me, it's Tuesday. So in my head, I've got 9 o'clock. So you're doing the hate along, are you? Okay,
the hate along, yeah.
So you'll see him and Chris later on then at 7:30. And I will hopefully be back for the presser. But until I'll see you again, it's a goodbye from him.
Goodbye from him.
And see you on the next one.
Away the lads.
The lassies and bands. Take care all.
Ciao, ciao. Thanks for watching.